Podcast City Network.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to episode 139 of the Nest podcast. This is Overreaction Monday for the Major League Baseball season. I'm your host, Brandon, joined as always by my co-host, Zach. Zach, what's up, dude?
What up?
Man, just been watching a lot of baseball this past weekend. So stoked that it's back. I'm glad that it's opening weekend. I'm glad it's out of the way. It's over with. We got to start the season on time. And that being said, there's a lot to react to. And I want to be kind of nerdy for a second and kick it to Merriam-Webster's dictionary, which defines overreact as to respond to something with too strong an emotion or with unnecessary or excessive action. Tonight's episode will be focused on the people that are the epitome of overreactions, and that's sports fans. You know it. We all know it. As a sports fan, you tend to fly off the handle no matter what is going on in your organization or on your team. And that is especially true for some of the things that we're going to talk about tonight. Typically, Overreaction Monday is reserved for the first Monday after a new NFL season, when fan bases are like, we're going to the Super Bowl after one game, or fire that stupid coach that we have because he sucks. However, I feel like it's appropriate to talk about it now because we have a lot that happened in opening weekend, especially for a Vols fan. You're right about that, Mike. Vols fans tend to be the worst overreactors out there. But anyway, so the first thing that really stood out to me this weekend that I think a lot of people are overreacting about is Showtime in Anaheim. And of course, I'm talking about Shohei Ohtani doing something that hasn't been done in 118 years, starting a game as a pitcher and also hitting in the top third of the lineup. This dude went out there, he's throwing 100+ mile per hour gas. And then the first pitch he sees, he hits a tank, 115 miles per hour off the bat over the right center field wall, home run. That's his second of the season. Dude's been going off, man. We talked about it when Rip was on the show, when Rip Griffin was on here, and I asked if it was Showtime or if he was show-rated. Boy, it appears we were wrong because he's showing out.
Yeah, at least for this first game, he did very well. It's still too early to tell, but of course, like we said at the beginning, this is Overreaction Monday, so I'm sure just the hype is through the roof. My biggest takeaway from that whole thing was, if you remember, he was covering home rather, for a throw home to try to get somebody out, and he got slid into and he kind of got taken out at the knees. He seems to be okay, but that's something that can happen. Obviously, he's putting himself out there more than most. You know, from a normal standpoint, if you're a pitcher, we don't expect too much of you, defensive wise and hitting wise. And if you're a hitter, no one expects you to pitch. And this guy is expected to do both extremely well. And like we said with Rip, it's great if he can continue this and if he can stay healthy. But that's where the question lies. How long is he going to be able to do this? How many more times are we going to see him hit and pitch in the same game and continue this ride as a dual threat?
If he's able to put it all together, he would be the premier National League pitcher. But in the American League, he's going to be able to also be a designated hitter on days that he's resting his arm. He can play the field in various positions. So this is a guy that, if healthy, he could be an MVP type candidate because he's so valuable to the Angels organization. So it's interesting to see him. I know Angels fans are through the roof at the production that he's put up there so far this season, and they're kind of doing that whole "I told you so" type thing because he's as advertised, at least to this point in the season.
Yeah, sure. And I liked that was the Sunday night baseball game. I think that was perfect. Ride this hype train for as long as it lasts. I think a lot of people enjoy that game. I know I did. It was fun to see the White Sox, even though they got kind of beat up a little bit. But nonetheless, that was a really good game, especially for the first Sunday night baseball game on ESPN for the season.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure a lot of people tune into that one. That's basically available to anybody who has TV. A lot of people are kind of restricted to, they can only watch their teams or whatever. And if you live in a town where the team sucks, then you might not be a big fan. But if you can catch these ESPN games, they put on some good ones.
Yeah, absolutely. They do. Sunday night baseball is great. One of the things that's come out of that is a lot of people are not too happy with A-Rod this season. Basically saying, like, when is this guy going to give it up? I'm sick of him. I'm ready for him to be gone. And you know what? Maybe he will get replaced one day because his world has kind of fallen around him this past offseason with the whole breakup with J-Lo and all that. I mean, that's pretty much a killer for a lot of guys. Have you heard from Mark Anthony since they split up?
Yeah, that's a very good point.
So anyway, one of the next things that I think a lot of overreaction has come from this weekend is the little scuffle that happened between the Reds and the Cardinals. And Zach, I know you were watching, you were texting me, you were tweeting live about it. You were letting everybody know your thoughts about it as it was happening. So go ahead and let our listeners kind of know what went on and what happened there in, I guess, was it in St. Louis or was it in Cincinnati?
Cincinnati, Great American Ballpark. Yeah, so I'm going to back it up to opening day. Obviously, Jack Flaherty got the start there, and Nick Castellanos hits a bomb, and the Red Sox, or the Reds were down at that point. Nick proceeds to do a nice little bat flip and kind of trot his way over to first and round the bases. No big deal. It's today's game. It's just one of those things. He's a home run hitter, and he got excited to hit one. That's fine. Fast forward to the Saturday game, right? Was that it?
Yeah, I believe it was on Saturday whenever you were blowing up my phone about it.
Right. He then proceeds to just kind of get hit by a pitch, shoulder area, maybe upper ribs or whatever. Not a big fan of that. Can't really blame him. He has a bit of an attitude about it and goes to hand the ball to the pitcher like, hey, you want this one or do you need a new one? Whatever. Continues on. He eventually makes his way to third and slides into home. Pitcher's covering, kind of slides into him, and he steps up and kind of flexes in his face and says, like, let's go, or whatever he said. That's all Yachty needed to see. He obviously got in Castellanos' face. You're not going to do that to his pitcher. And then the bench is clear. And if we want to kind of see it in depth, I've got a little video here, thanks to John Boy Media, who he is absolutely great at what he does. So I'll just let him take it away.
On the first day of the season, Castellanos took Flaherty way deep, and he hopped and he skipped and he Candyman walked his ass out of the box, and then he went full pinwheels on the bat flip. And maybe the Cardinals took exception to it, or maybe they didn't. But here he is the next day in the bottom of the fourth inning, and he's going to take the first pitch right to the ribs, arm area. I don't know. Could have been on purpose. Could have not been on purpose. I think he asked Yachty right here, like, hey, someone throwing at me? Is that intentional? What's going on? Maybe that's what he's asking him right there. And Yachty says, no. And then he goes and he gathers the ball and he looks at the pitch and he says, you want this one or you want a new one? Is this one not working for you? You don't have good control of this one? Okay, let's get you a new one. And he goes to first base. Then Votto gets a nice hit, and that's going to move him to third base. And now he's real close to home plate, which is where this all started. Moose is in the box. Wild pitch off Yachty's glove. He comes home. Slow-mo play at the plate. Pitcher kind of lands on him. He flexes right in his face. Whoa! Pitcher's like, what the hell? I don't like that. Woo! Right in his face. Woo! Down there, just looking at him. Pitch is like, yeah. No, I don't like that. I'm going to stand up for myself. But Yachty's already there, and Moose is there. Like, I got it. I got it. Moose is the first line of defense for the Reds. I love that. He actually is going to wrap Yachty up and just bring him to the side and take care of things at the heart of the battle. Now, on the back end, you got Winker for the Reds, who's paroling the perimeter to control it, but really he's just causing more mayhem than not. Like, he's paroling the outside for people that aren't getting in the mix and then telling them not to get in the mix in like a very aggressive way. He was being held back while trying to hold back other people. Anyway, right here you can see how it all sorts out. You got the pitcher over here. You got Castellanos over here. Yachty's right there. It's all in the middle. Everyone's just coming and saying hi and saying, how's the season going? Aren't you glad to be back? That guy looks like he wears a lot of eyeliner. That guy looks like he's the lead singer of Fall Out Boy. Who is that? Who is that? Who is this guy and what's up with his eyes? A lot of people say that I look like I wear eyeliner. That dude, I mean, pretty eyes. Castellanos, pretty guy himself. He's just standing on the outside now. He hasn't reacted to anything. And now you can see Moose go, you know I love you, bro. Got nothing but respect for you, bro. I know. I got it. I'll talk to him. So Moustakas is a peacekeeper. And then they go and they have their own shot. They get out of the way. And I like this. Castellanos got his arms behind his back. He's letting Yachty just talk into him. And Yachty's probably saying this, and Yachty's saying that, and Yachty's saying respect, and Yachty's saying this, and rookie and team, and stick up for him. Then, out of nowhere, the bullpens were getting into it on their way back to the bullpens, and Eugenio Suarez got shoved right there. Williams is all fired up. They're holding each other back. Both teams wearing red caps didn't help anyone in this situation. Jordan Hicks is so mad. I don't understand what Jordan Hicks is so mad about. Like, I tried to look at this a bunch of times, and I think he was mad. Look at him. He's just like, fuck you. And then Hicks points the guy out. He was like, no, him, get it. I think he's mad that someone on the Reds is continuously holding someone on the Cardinals' back, and he was saying, like, get off him. Either way, Castellanos still arms behind his back, like, I'm not causing trouble. All I did was woo into his face. Arms still behind his back. Looking good. So that's your first benches clearing of the season.
Yep, that was it.
Yeah, so thanks to John Boy for putting that out there and doing such a great job with those videos. I don't know if he's allowed to show those videos from MLB or if they just kind of wink, wink, nudge, nudge, let it happen because he brings eyes to the sport. But I appreciate all the videos that he puts out. He's the one that ultimately cracked the case of the Houston Astros back from their 2017 scandal that, of course, people overreacted to that as well. Now, I also saw that, you know, some of the big names out on Twitter were talking about this. Namely, Carabas was saying that that Cardinals fans are weak, and he doesn't understand why the Cardinals fan base was being so up in arms about it. And what did you think of that, Zach? I showed you that tweet. I texted it to you and let you see that firsthand. What did you think of Carabas kind of saying that the Cardinals were weak about it?
I'm not super in like Cardinals Twitter. I follow a few people, of course. Maybe he was getting a bunch of tweets or mentions of Cardinals fans pissed off at Castellanos or something. I'm not really 100% sure. I've never really known Cardinals fans to be, you know, too uppity about that kind of stuff. It seemed to be handled. Yachty said his piece. They kind of worked it out on the field. I don't see why anyone would have an issue with that. I don't know. Maybe he was just kind of tweeting off the cuff or whatever.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I know he's also doubled down, and he talked about the Nick Castellanos suspension that came from all this, and that's something that happened just today that was after the John Boy video and all that. So do you think MLB overreacted by suspending Nick Castellanos for 2 games?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. That was really a non-issue. Sure, it cleared the benches, whatever. People are hot. People are excited. This is a whole new year. I think the players are just kind of hyped up for it. Sure, he might have taunted in his face. I don't really consider it that big of a deal. That guy is a pretty exciting player to watch. He's super hot right now. He hit like at least 2 or 3 home runs off of us this weekend. To pull him out of his next 2 games really kind of screws the Reds, in my opinion. I don't think that's fair. I think maybe if he would have thrown some punches or something, sure, maybe you had something. But like John Boyce showed, his hands were behind his back. He didn't do anything after his initial flexing in front of the pitcher. That was a huge overreaction, in my opinion.
Yeah, the flexing is something that we can see pretty much any given NBA game whenever a dude nails a big dunk or hits that clutch three-pointer. He's going to flex as he's walking back down the court and all that stuff. So for the fact that he slid into home, beat the play, beat the relay, it was a wild pitch, so Yachty ran back, tried to flip the ball to the pitcher that was covering the plate. They had a little collision. He was ruled safe. That's a high-energy moment in a game. And he got up. He showed some emotion. I think it's egregious that he got suspended for that too. And of course he's going to appeal that and will probably win the appeal. So hopefully that all takes place before he even misses his next start, because he doesn't deserve to miss a start for that. Like Brad said, it was a garbage suspension anyway. So
yeah, terrible.
One thing that I do know that fans are overreacting to is the fact that losing sucks. And it especially sucks whenever you get swept in the opening weekend of a series. Now, I want to preface this by saying no team is ever going to win 162 games in a given season. Most teams are going to get swept at some point during the season. It's going to happen that teams are going to drop 3, 4, 5, 6 games in a row, even sometimes more than that. What really sucks about it is doing it in opening weekend, when the excitement's at an all-time high, when everybody's super excited about the fresh start of a season, and then you've got a goose egg in the win column staring at you. That is a bitter pill to swallow. And for 3 fan bases out there, I know that that's something that they've had to deal with this past weekend. And I'm talking about the Red Sox, the Braves, and the A's. Those fan bases all are sitting on goose eggs right now, waiting for that first win of the season to take place. And let's get into some of those teams and some of those scenarios and how they can kind of right the ship and how they can kind of deal with the fact that that their season hasn't even really started yet. With the Red Sox, they got swept by the Orioles, which we've talked about in the American League East preview, that they're kind of the basement dwellers of that division. And for the Red Sox, the team that was supposed to be better than they were in 2020, to come out and be an absolute dumpster fire, that's not boding too well for the Sox. And of course, I've got a Red Sox hat on my head. I'm a Red Sox fan. So this has been something that I was boiling all weekend because of this. I was beside myself just trying to figure out what's going on with this team. And going into the season, a lot of people were saying like, oh, the arms, the rotation's not going to be good. The bullpen's going to suck. But our offense will be fine. The offense will be just fine. They're going to score a lot of runs. The only problem is they're going to give up a lot of runs. That wasn't the case at all. 2 out of 3 of those games, the Red Sox were in it. And in fact, they should have won some of those games, because Nate Eovaldi, he pitched 5 1/3 innings. He gave up 1 earned run, 4 strikeouts on Friday. And then rookie Tanner Houck came in on Saturday and he pitched 5 innings, gave up 2 runs and had 8 strikeouts. That's pretty decent starting pitching. The bullpen was able to come in and keep them close on Friday and Saturday. Those were very winnable games. The offense is what didn't live up to the hype. Per Red Sox stats on Twitter, Friday, the Sox had a team batting average of 154, and on Saturday, they posted a 180 batting average. That's not going to get it done.
Yeah, for sure. That's rough. And like you said, especially for a team that's supposed to have good bats, Verdugo obviously is probably high on that list. It sucks that you can't get it done against the Orioles. They're no slouch. They've come out and beat the Red Sox and the Yankees. They play them all the damn time, so it's expected. But like you said, to start the season like that, oh man, it's just so rough.
Well, you mentioned Verdugo, Kike Hernandez, Alex Verdugo, Xander Bogaerts, and Rafael Devers. 4 guys that should be producing in that lineup. You've got your leadoff, your number 2 guy, and then your number 4 and 5 hitters. They went a combined 2 for 37 with 0 extra base hits. The number 3 hitter in the lineup, JD Martinez, is one of the only guys that was productive, and he was 6 for 11 with 3 doubles and a homer. So without him in the middle of the lineup, if he would have been crap, then 1 through 5 would have essentially just been terrible all weekend. And with one guy producing in that, you've got outs all around you, so you can't really string together those hits. You can't get out of those jams and stuff like that where it's 1-2 run games. But the good news is this offense is not going to stay dormant forever. We know these guys are going to hit, but squandering 2 good pitching performances on opening weekend, that takes the wind out of your sails for sure. We should have known whenever the original opening day got rained out that was a bad omen for this, because after that it went all downhill.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got to feel especially bad for Mets and Nationals fans, because they still have yet to see their teams play. And I think that the Mets are scheduled to play tomorrow.
They just wrapped up their first game.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yep.
And then I'm assuming the Nationals are still on some sort of COVID protocol.
They were supposed to play the Braves tonight, but that game got postponed, and they're trying to refigure that stuff out. So.
Yeah. And I mean, it sucks because you think 2021, the COVID season's behind us. We're moving on. We're going to have fans in the stands. This stuff is not over yet. Teams are obviously still affected by it. I'm assuming the plan is to get all the players, I guess, that want to or whatever to get vaccinated. But until then, this is probably going to be something that teams are going to have to deal with.
Brad says that they're playing a double header tomorrow. I'm assuming he's talking about the Nationals and the Braves to make up for today's game. So that would make sense since tonight's was postponed. But going back to the Red Sox real quick, tonight they kick off a new series against the Rays. And in my opinion, tonight's game is an absolute must win for the Red Sox. It's weird to think about with 159 games left on the schedule that game 4 is a must win. But it almost is, because if you drop to 0-4 here, then tomorrow night you have to face Tyler Glasnow, and then the night after that you face Yarborough. There's a very real possibility if the Red Sox don't win tonight that they start the season 0-6, and that is no way that you can start a season like that and then wake up feeling good about yourself. Right. So that's going to suck.
Yeah. And if anything, just to quell the fan base. I mean, they're already calling for Chaim Bloom's firing and just a dumpster fire and all that stuff. If you can at least give them one win and then move on, hopefully they can all kind of just calm down a little bit. The season isn't completely over yet. And it's so funny to see fan bases overreact like we've been talking about. It's just so funny. Like, this little series does not determine the rest of the year. Think about what the season's gonna look like in September when the Orioles are 40 and whatever, and hopefully the Red Sox have a little bit more wins than that, and no one will even think about this opening series.
Well, I would imagine that the Orioles will have a few more than just 40 wins at the end of the season. That would be pretty atrocious if that's all they ended up with after starting 3-0. But we'll see what happens in September, like you said. But another team that has postseason aspirations that got swept this weekend, of course, is the Braves. And we talked about them a little bit, how they're scheduled to play a doubleheader tomorrow with the Nationals, who haven't played at all. But for the Braves, just like the Red Sox, pitching wasn't really the problem. It was hitting. The Braves lost 3-2 on Thursday night. They were off on Friday. Then they got shut out 4-0 on Saturday and lost 2-1 on Sunday. So their pitching was pretty okay all weekend long. It's just they couldn't get the bats going. Do you think there's something to playing in a warm weather environment like down in Florida, where both of these teams play for spring training, and then going up to cold weather places? The Red Sox went to Boston and the Braves went to Philadelphia, where it was cold weather, and they sucked. They hit the cover off the ball during spring training, and then all of a sudden the bats are cold.
Yeah, I 100% think that has something to do with it. To go for such a huge drastic transition, it can't be good for your mechanics and just your everyday routines and everything like that. It's tough to play in the cold. Pitchers will tell you that it's hard to have control of the ball. It's not a sport to be played in the cold. And for those teams that did have to travel up north where it's cold, you saw that the Tigers and Indians had to play in the snow. That's insane to me. Like, who at MLB didn't think to maybe put both of those teams against a warm weather Southern team so that everyone could have a chance to play in decent weather? It's kind of crazy to me. I wish that someone would set up a scenario where the northern states and the eastern states could play those warmer weather teams and just have a little bit of a better roll off of spring training where everyone's playing where it's warm into the regular season and not have to go up and play in the cold. That's just so strange to me.
Well, you said who at MLB thought that it was a good idea. That's the problem. The people at the offices at MLB, they don't think about anything other than money. But playing in the snow did give Miggy a good chance to hit a home run and then run through a blizzard, which was a pretty awesome sight to see. And like Brad said, he hit a bomb and then slid into second base, which was pretty funny. But he did that because he knew he hit it well, but he didn't know where the ball went. He slid into second thinking that he was only going to get a double out of it. Then the ump's like, nope, that went over the fence. It's a homer. He's like, really? Oh, okay. And then he continued his trot. But that made for a pretty cool moment to see Miggy running through the snowflakes. And that was the first home run of the 2021 MLB season.
Right.
So that should let you know how crazy this season's going to be. The fact that he ran through a blizzard.
Yeah, that was insane. And I mean, I guess there will be those moments that are kind of crazy to see. I don't know. I don't know if the fans necessarily care about that. Sure, it's a cool moment and we can appreciate it, but I got to think that it'd be more exciting to see everyone at a bit more of an even playing field in a warmer weather scenario. Like you said, it was really cool and it gave us something to talk about today. But just as a whole, I think it's weird, especially for the teams that have to play in New England and stuff where it's basically still winter. I mean, that does not seem fair to me to go from your spring training location to playing back where it's winter. It's just kind of sucks.
It makes the case for every stadium to have a retractable roof that much stronger.
Sure.
I mean, I'm a firm component that baseball needs to be played outside. It needs to be in the sun, in the fresh air, but some days just aren't able to do that. You know, like some days it's raining, some days it's snowing even. When it's 105 degrees outside, you don't want to be standing in the sun all day. I get that. So those retractable roofs are convenient. They are nice to have. So I don't know. Maybe eventually baseball will go to that. It seems like all the newer stadiums are going to be that way. So who knows? There is another team that went winless, and their fans are beside themselves for sure, because the Oakland A's not only lost in a sweep, but they lost a 4-game sweep to one of the most hated teams in the league, the Houston Astros. And by the way, what makes it even worse for them is their fans were in the stands all 4 games, holding signs, trolling the Astros for cheating. And then they can't even win a game. So it's like, oh gosh.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Yeah. What a bad look. And this was a team that we talked about potentially giving the Astros a run for their money. That's not going to be very easy to do if you can't even pull out one win in a 4-game series. Man, that was rough for them for sure.
Well, in the name of overreacting, Zach, I think, they can bounce back from that. They've got 158 games left on their calendar that they'll be able to try to chip away at that lead that they've given to the Astros, and they'll make it a race towards the end of the season. So it is what it is, but we'll see what happens with the Astros and the A's. I think the A's they got a bit of a wake-up call.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely a big change to go from playing your spring training games, playing basically against guys who are minor leaguers that are trying to make a name for themselves, trying to get a spot on a roster, to then go and play the actual major leaguers who have been doing it for a long time. It's a transition, and I think you've seen that across the league. People aren't necessarily used to pitching against still really great, or to hitting against really great pitchers late in games. That's the time in spring training where you see someone you've never heard of, the 7th, 8th inning. You'll see some pitcher you've never heard of. That's not the case in a regular season game.
That's right. Yep. You've got quality arms that come out there at the end of games that aren't just trying to make a spot. They've already solidified their spot in the roster, and they're not going anywhere. Let's get into some awards predictions. We kind of missed a prediction show because we were doing the preview shows leading up into opening day. And, we've seen a little bit of action, but I think it's still early enough in the season that we can give our predictions for end of year awards. And we haven't seen enough that it's spoiling it or anything like that. Offhand, I just want to say the comeback player of the year in the American League has to be Trey Mancini. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Dude missed all of 2020 because he was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer, and he's back in the Orioles starting lineup this season. And he was one of the reasons that the Orioles were able to sweep the Red Sox this past weekend. Dude's a baller. He's out there. Love seeing him back on the diamond. We hate to see anybody that goes out due to injury or anything like that, but whenever it's something that's life-threatening like cancer, you got to tip your cap to that guy.
Yeah, and that's a tall order. I'm sure cancer is a hard thing to beat, let alone beat it and come back to play a major league sport. I mean, that's huge. Hats off to that guy, and I hope he has a great season.
Yeah, I think he's the de facto comeback player of the year in the American League, and I don't think it's even close. Right. But how do you want to do this? We can't start at the MVPs. We got to build our way up to MVP, right?
Yeah, let's do Rookie of the Year, Cy Young, and then we'll go from there.
You want to do AL, then NL, and then just go back and forth? Okay. So for my AL Rookie of the Year, and I know it's kind of maybe a hot take at this time. Going into the season, it was one of the sexy picks, but it might be hot now because he hasn't done anything in the first weekend. But I've got Bobby Dahlback of the Boston Red Sox. This dude, he seems to hit homers or strikes out. He's already got 5 Ks on the season, which isn't looking too good. But when he does get a hold of one, his power has been compared to Aaron Judge, who won the Rookie of the Year in his rookie season. And he's going to be playing in Fenway Park as a right-handed hitter. So his pull power is going to be to that monster. So I have a feeling he's going to pepper the monster with doubles and blast them over the Mass Pike all season long.
Nice. I've got a name that we both know from last year, Randy Arozarena. He came out of nowhere basically and started hitting bombs. And I think he can continue that this year. He doesn't have to be something that he's not. He is a quality player. Clearly the Cardinals missed that, which sucks, but the Rays are going to capitalize on that. I think if he can just continue what he was doing, if you can do that, what he did in the postseason, if you can continue that in the regular season, I think Rookie of the Year is a no-brainer for him.
Okay. Does he qualify as a rookie? How much did he play last year?
I'm not 100% sure, but I looked up the like betting odds for Rookie of the Year, and he made the list. So I would assume that he's eligible.
Yeah, I know he came on in the postseason and all that stuff, but last year was so weird. I didn't even know, like, was he even on the team midway through, or when did he get called up? So okay, yeah. So if he's in the betting odds, then somebody out there that's smarter than us knows what's going on with it. So we'll let it slide. In the National League, who do you have?
I've got Dylan Carlson, a Cardinals player. Yeah, he's currently fielding center field because Harrison Bader's out. He's typically a right field guy. He's a kid who has all the potential in the world. He's already got 1 home run, 4 RBIs this year. Last year he had 3 home runs and 16 RBIs. And yeah, he's the top prospect obviously for the Cardinals, and he's now a full-time major leaguer. And it'll be interesting to see where they put him, where they place him, what they do with that young outfield. So I think he's definitely got a solidified spot somewhere in that outfield, especially if he can continue swinging the bat. So I have all the hopes in the world for him, and I think he can absolutely do it.
Okay. A bit of a homer pick for you as well for Rookie of the Year. So we both went with a hometown guy for our rookies. I'm going with Ha-Seung Kim from the San Diego Padres. I think this dude, he excelled in Korean baseball, And I think it's going to translate well to the American style of the game. And plus, he's playing out there in that stacked lineup. So he's going to have a lot of opportunities to hit with runners in scoring position. His power and his skill set is going to translate well to Petco Park. And I think we're in for an exciting season there in the gas lamp.
Yeah, for sure. That team is stacked. So it'll be exciting to watch that team all year, I think.
Absolutely. What'd you say next? Cy Young is what we're going with? Okay. American League Cy Young. I've got Garrett Cole. I think he's going to silence the critics and silence the doubters. He's going to have a phenomenal season and win his first ever Cy Young. I hate to say it, being that he's pitching for the New York Yankees now, but I think he's primed and ready to go out there and win the hardware.
Yeah, and I'm in agreement. I say Garrett Cole as well. He's coming off of kind of a strange year. I don't want to say it's an off year just because it was just such a weird year anyway, especially for starting pitchers. Just there's no way to get into your rhythm if one day you're playing and one day you're out for COVID protocols or whatever. I think this is his year to prove that he is worth the amount of money that the Yankees gave him, and I think they also absolutely need Garrett Cole to perform.
They do.
They're going to need as much help as they can get. And if they can all be healthy and they can all do their jobs, the Yankees are dangerous. And Garrett Cole is absolutely part of that.
Yep. Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better myself. Who you got for the National League Cy Young?
I've got Blake Snell. And obviously he is a AL Cy Young winner. And I think that's going to translate beautifully to the National League. They haven't really seen a whole lot of him, and he's going to be playing against teams like the Diamondbacks, the Giants, the Rockies. Of course, he's going to have to face the Dodgers, and they're going to be rough, but I think he's going to absolutely beat up on those mediocre to crappy teams. Like I said, they haven't seen a whole hell of a lot of his stuff, and boy, does he have a lot of it. So I would expect him to kind of double up his Cy Young awards on both sides of the leagues this year.
That would be something special to see him get one in each league so soon in his career. I'm also going to say that the Cy Young in the National League is going to be in Southern California. However, I think it's going to be up the I-5 freeway just a little bit in Los Angeles, and it's going to go to Mr. Walker Buehler. I think the popular choice in the NL is probably DeGrom. I think a lot of people are going to say like, oh, well, if it's not DeGrom, then it's nobody or whatever. But I think all the knowledge that the Dodgers have in that rotation, paired with the stuff that Buehler's been able to show, I think that's going to be great for him going forward. I think he's going to be able to pick the brains of other Cy Young winners in Clayton Kershaw, Trevor Bauer, David Price, and he's going to just be able to absorb all of this information and this knowledge, and he's going to put it to work for him as he goes out there and mows down the NL West.
Yeah, and that's a great pick. That kid has the potential to be absolutely disgusting. I mean, when you play alongside Clayton Kershaw for as long as he has, and just to be able to absorb all that knowledge, and like you said, now you've got Trevor Bauer. That guy just has crazy stuff. If this guy can pick up half of what he sees in his starting rotation, let alone just the rest of the team, he can be absolutely filthy. So that's a great pick.
What about the American League MVP? We're moving into the big boys here, and I've got Shohei Ohtani winning the American League MVP. I told you I was going to shock you with some of my picks, and this is one that I know that may shock you because I said that he was overrated a couple weeks ago. I didn't really think that he would have it, but in the true nature of overreaction, I'm getting on the bandwagon and I'm saying, like, if this dude can stay healthy, he can put up the numbers offensively, and then paired that with an above average pitching performance all season long, I think that's going to be enough to get him all of the votes that he needs for MVP. Do I think he's going to be the best pitcher in the league? No. Do I think he's going to be the best hitter in the American League? No, probably not. But whenever you combine the total body of work for an entire MLB season, I think that's going to speak volumes to the MVP voters.
Yeah, that's a very good point. The only thing is that huge if he can do it, if he can stay healthy.
He hasn't done it yet, so
right. Yeah, I mean that's the case for everyone if they can do it. And I've got my AL pick on the same team. However, it's the best man in baseball, and that's Mike Trout, which is, I guess, a lot of people can say an easy pick, whatever. He's basically the default pick every year for MVP. I do think this is one of his years to shine. He's got a lot of help now, which I think can help his batting average kind of go up. It's not that you have to only worry about Mike Trout and then the rest of the team is kind of crap. If Ohtani can stay in the lineup and actually hit for him, he's now got Anthony Rendon helping him out. So you have a lot of weapons other than Trout to worry about. And I think that can lead to Trout having a really good year at the plate. You know, he's going to perform defensively in every other facet. I think his question usually is, does he put up enough big numbers to be an MVP? Last year, they gave that to Jose Abreu. I think the awards for the COVID season are just, they are what they are. You did good in a 60-game season, so you get that award. The 162-game season is a whole different ball game, and obviously Trout's been here plenty of times, and I think this is his year to claim yet another MVP title.
That's a good point too. And you know, like if both of our picks for American League MVP are doing what they're supposed to do all year long, then the Angels could have a pretty exciting year. And what a time for Southern California.
Yeah.
You know, we just based off of our, predictions, we've got prediction for AL MVP to be in Southern California. Both of us had two different guys. NL Cy Young, we had two different guys in Southern California. We both had the AL Cy Young as Garrett Cole, who's from Southern California. So Southern California is well represented on the show tonight. That being said, who do you have for the National League MVP?
I've got another Southern California delicacy, Fernando Tatis Jr.
Wow, okay.
I think that they're going to just absolutely ride this train with Tatis. They've put him on the cover of the show 21. People know his name. He's obviously one of the most electric players. I think this is one of those things where MLB is going to kind of take this into their own hands, and there might be somebody out there that has more home runs. There might be somebody out there that has a better batting average. I think if Tatis can just do what he does, they're going to make him the MVP simply to kind of put that face of MLB on Tatis as this is our guy. This is our, elite player. I think they want Mike Trout to be that guy because he truly is the best player in the league. But Tatis has just that flair. He has that style. He has that just electric ability to just kind of be a bigger and better than the game. And I think they're going to try to give this award to him by any means possible.
Yeah, that's a good pick. And, like you said, he's kind of become the face of baseball. And if he has a good season, then that's going to win him some votes and some recognition from the voters anyway. But keeping with the Southern California trend, I've got to pick another player that has ties to Southern California because he's from there originally, although he plays in St. Louis. And I'm going to say Nolan Arenado is going to win the National League MVP. This dude's been on a 5-year run as a top 10 MVP finalist. 4 of those years he spent in the top 5 of voting at the end of the season. This year he has more protection than he's ever had. So he's going to get to bat with runners in scoring position, which should lead to more RBIs, should lead to more runs scored because he's got some hitters behind him as well. And his glove is always going to be elite. So whenever you pair a platinum glove with offensive production, that is a good mixture for MVP votes. And I've got to go Nolan for his first year in St. Louis, winning the hardware.
Hey, I'm here for it. I will not argue.
I bet you are. I bet you are, buddy. That would be something cool to see. And I know Nolan's one of those guys that he's all about the game. He's so in love with the sport of baseball. And that's on his little bucket list or his checklist of things that he wants to accomplish in his career. Win a World Series, win an MVP. He's already got the gold gloves. He's got the platinum gloves. He's been an all-star. There's just a few more things on that Hall of Fame resume that he's waiting to check off. And this could be the year for one of them.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I can definitely see that being a possibility. It might be a little difficult just because he's going to have a hell of an offensive season to kind of keep up with these big hitters that we've talked about throughout the show. Just there's a lot of guys out there that make name for themselves off of hitting homers, basically. And if he can keep up, then it's definitely possible, because I don't think there's a third baseman out there that can even touch him. Maybe Matt Chapman, but I don't think Matt Chapman has 4 platinum gloves.
Nope.
So you're going to be hard pressed to find a better infielder than Nolan. So I can definitely see it if he can have a real good season offensively.
I agree. Nolan is probably the best third baseman in the game, and it's not even really close.
Right.
So we went through our preview, Zach, of all of the teams from each division, and we kind of picked the division winners and who we thought would be in the playoffs and who we thought would be represented at the end of the year. Now it's time for us to make our predictions for the ultimate one. Who's going to win the World Series when it's all said and done in October of 2021? Who do you have?
I've got the Dodgers beating the White Sox. No matter who's playing, no matter who's coaching, the Dodgers for the last 5+ years have just been an absolute powerhouse. And they finally got that bump off their back and won one last year. Not much has changed last year other than them getting even more weapons, adding Trevor Bauer. You say what you will about the guy. He has talent. He can pitch well.
Mm-hmm.
If you do it in 162 games, we'll see. And nonetheless, even without Trevor Bauer, that team is absolutely stacked everywhere. We've talked about Walker Buehler potentially being a Cy Young winner. They've got bats that can hit any place, anytime, all over that team. And I think they're going back-to-back this year. I would say that they'd beat the Yankees, but I do not have confidence in the Yankees being healthy enough to make it to the World Series. So I'm going White Sox just because I think they're almost the default if the Yankees can't make it. The other teams in the AL kind of have trouble in the postseason. We've talked about the Twins having trouble in the postseason. The Rays, I don't think are going to come back this year. So I think this is the White Sox year to make it to the World Series. I just don't know if they have enough to compete with the Dodgers.
Yeah, no, I mean, what you're saying is smart, and the Dodgers are probably the safe money if you're going to go and bet out in Vegas for your World Series prediction right now. But I can't agree with you. I got to go a little bit different. I got to pivot, and like how you picked somebody there in Southern California to win the NL, and I shifted up to LA. I'm going to shift down the I-5 freeway to Slam Diego, because I think that this is the year that the World Series title finally comes to San Diego, California, and the Padres are going to walk away with it. Remember whenever we had the NL West show with Javi and Jeff on here, and we talked about how I thought that the Dodgers were going to win the division. I still think that. I think the Dodgers in a 162-game season, they will win more games than the San Diego Padres. They'll probably win by about 8 to 12 games because they're going to be that dominant throughout the season. But I also said in a 5 or 7 game series, it's anybody's ball game. And in that short of a time, I think the San Diego Padres are the better team. And I think they actually do it against the New York Yankees, which will be a marquee World Series for MLB to throw on this year.
Yeah, I could definitely see that being a possibility. I still think it's going to be tough for the Padres to beat the Dodgers in a potential. What would they be? I guess they'd probably be in the division series there.
Division or possibly championship series. Depends on how they're seeded.
Right. I mean, it could definitely happen. That team is absolutely stacked, just like the Dodgers are. I don't know. They're kind of young, which kind of scares me. But boy, if anyone's going to take down the Dodgers, it's probably going to be the Padres for the National League. And like I said earlier, I can definitely see the Yankees making it if they can stay healthy, and that's just an absolutely huge if. That team is notorious for their big hitters in Judge and Stanton just not being able to survive an entire season. They're going to absolutely need at least those two to perform. They're going to need all the help they can get to win games, especially when it comes to the later part of the season. Anything's possible, obviously. Those are not bad picks, though, and I would absolutely be here to see a Slam Diego World Series win.
I think a lot of people would. I think a lot of people would be really excited for it, and Major League Baseball would probably be very excited about it because that's the face of their organization now, hoisting their trophy at the end of the season. Same year that he's on the cover of their video game, which let's talk about MLB The Show 21 just a little bit. Its release date is about 2 weeks away at this point, and news broke recently that for Game Pass users, it's going to be a free download.
Yeah. How crazy was that? For those who don't know, MLB The Show 21 for the first time is coming to Xbox this year. Not only is it coming to Xbox, but if you are a Xbox Game Pass member, you get the game with your subscription. So you do not have to drop $60 on this game. I think that is absolutely huge for this franchise. It was a big step nonetheless to come to the Xbox platform because they've been PlayStation exclusive for years and years now. Not only are Xbox players going to get a taste of baseball on their console, they're going to get it for $15 a month along with whatever other game the Game Pass comes with. I think that is huge.
Yeah, and I'm for it because I'm already a Game Pass subscriber. So as soon as it's available, click that little download button. I'm going to leave my Xbox on while I run off to work or whatever it is that I have to do that day. When I come home, I'm putting the headset on and I'm jumping on there, and you and I are going to play us some games. We're going to play some Road to the Show. We're going to build our creative players, and we're going to have us a blast playing that game.
Yeah.
And all for what we pay for our Game Pass subscription. So that's pretty awesome. And it's a big step, like you said, for it to even come to Xbox, but it's an even bigger step for it to be instantly thrown on Game Pass to try to get as many people as possible playing the game. My only worry is that the people that play on PlayStation are going to feel a little bit scorned by the fact that they have to still yet go and pay $60 to get the copy.
Yeah, I can see that kind of be upsetting, but you got to think they've been the only ones that can play the series for 10 years.
Or a decade. Now. Yeah.
So I mean, they've got some ground to make up for when it comes to just absolutely isolating the Xbox community from officially licensed baseball games. I think this is good overall for gamers and for baseball fans. The subscription service thing I think is really cool, and it's obviously the way of the future. Being able to pay a Netflix style subscription fee for a pretty good library of games is pretty cool. And I think if we had that as kids, boy, how exciting would that have been? Imagine not having to choose one game and then have that for only have that game for a few months and whatever else you've collected.
You're aging yourself talking about video rental services and going to Blockbuster on a Friday night and getting a game for the weekend.
Yep.
But I do want to clear the bases a little bit more with some actual MLB news. The MLB All-Star Game was pulled from Atlanta this week due to politics that we're not going to get into here. But I do want to ask, where do you think the All-Star Game will be played this season?
That's a great question. I think they're probably going to try to maximize in-seat fans. I think by that time the country will be pretty open. A lot of people will probably be vaccinated by that point. I could see them going to a pretty big park, maybe Wrigley, maybe Fenway, Yankee Stadium, maybe. If they can't get one of those big spots, I'd like to maybe see them go to one of the classic ballparks, like you said. The Brewers play in a great ballpark. I could see them maybe going to the Rockies. That's a really pretty ballpark. I hope they pick a good ballpark. I hope they pick a classic ballpark. You know, that's a real nice place to play, a nice place to visit. I do hope that they pick one of those notorious ballparks. Like I said, Wrigley, obviously Fenway, and those parks are big names. This is the year to kind of bring everyone back and say, hey, baseball is here. A lot of people missed sports last year because they were just so weird. if we can get back to some normalcy and give people a good All-Star game, I think people will love it, because that's about the time when the casual fans kind of start to tune in. It gets a little serious after the All-Star break. You're basically playing for playoff spots basically the rest of the year up until October. I think if they can put on a good show, then they'll get some good fans.
Well, to your point about trying to pack this house, the one team out there that we know that is already packing the house and allowed for 100% capacity is Globe Life Field, where the Rangers play. They hosted the World Series last year, and they got to allow minimum fans during the thick of things. And now they're letting fans all come in. So that might be a place that MLB opts to go to because of that reason. They're already open to full capacity. Why not throw your all-star game there to try to bring in more revenue? But for me personally, and you touched on it a little bit, I think that when it was in Atlanta, the plans were to be an honor of Hank Aaron and his career and his time in baseball, because we recently lost Hammer and Hank over the offseason, and it was going to be a big celebration of his life. And with that being said, I think that it needs to go to American Family Field, or as everyone affectionately still calls it, Miller Park in Milwaukee, where Hank Aaron spent 12 years of his career playing as a member of the Milwaukee Braves. So I think that would be the fitting place for him to get, for the All-Star game to get to go, so that they can give the good tip of the cap to Hank Aaron.
Yeah. I think that's a great move. He's a name that everyone knows, at least just by the name itself. People know who he is. I'd love to see a nice tip of the cap to him to do that. And like you said, that's a great ballpark nonetheless. So I think people would enjoy that.
And I'm excited that I might get to go see a game there in September. Hopefully I get to go and see the potential NL MVP, Nolan Arenado, and potential NL Rookie of the Year, Dylan
Carlson.
Yeah. I wanted to say Carlton, but I knew that wasn't right.
Close.
So maybe, and former NL MVP Christian Yelich.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Don't forget about that guy.
For sure.
Do you got anything else you want to add to clearing of the bases?
No, I think we're good. We pretty much hit everything tonight.
Yeah, I think it was a good one. I think it was a solid episode. We thank everybody that's been watching along and commenting along with us. We appreciate you guys as always. Let us know in the comments how you've overreacted this offseason. Are you upset at the umpires blowing calls already? Because it seems like it took about 0.5 seconds for people to be like, these umps suck. Angel Hernandez calling your game opening day, you're in for a world of hurt. But it is what it is. That's MLB. At least we still have live umpires. It hasn't completely gone to the robotic umps yet. So we'll see what happens. Thank you guys for listening and watching along. We appreciate you. I just got news that MLB has suspended us for the next 6 days and 23 hours. So we'll be back next week, Monday night at 7:00. We'll see you guys then. Peace.